Hey, I'm Will Wheaton, and I have just received a dump truck full of gold bullion to tell you to watch the Scene Snobs.
Have you and your furry best friend ever been bored? We have a cure for that. Get your subscription box with our affiliate link now.
Welcome, everybody, to Does It Suck, where we go back and rewatch movies that were box office bombs, critically panned, or maybe just forgotten about, and we check it out and we ask the question, does it really suck? Casey and I are here, of course, your intrepid hosts, as you will, and we are watching these movies just to see if you should give them another chance. Tonight's movie on the docket was chosen by my partner in crime, Casey, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, starring Helen Mirren, Katie Holmes, and Barry Watson. I gotta say, man, before we get into and share the premise, I forgot that Helen Mirren was in this movie.
So did I. It was almost having that Ian McKellen and apt pupil moment of like, whoa, wait, I got to rewatch that now. That's got a whole new meaning now that I realize that was Gandalf.
You know what the craziest part about apt pupil is, too? When you realize it's a Stephen King book.
Yeah, pretty wild. It goes way further in the book, so that was terrifying. That was a terrible thing. I don't want to bring that back up. And of course, Helen Mirren, the Dame Helen Mirren, fantastic in this. Not to be downplayed, though, Molly Ringwald, this was one of her big kind of returns to movies, the spotlight, as it were.
Was it really, though?
I mean, it was for me. After that,
she was in it.
It was her return to high school. Get it?
I think this was
played the
promised.
secretary.
This was promised as her John Travolta moment.
Yeah.
Or her Drew Barrymore via Scream in the Kevin Williamson style.
It was an unfortunate vehicle.
Yeah.
It was an unfortunate vehicle. And Michael McKean could not help it.
No, but you know what?
Vivica Fox is in this freaking movie.
Jeffrey Tambor. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, and I want to share the premise for everybody so that way you guys know. Teaching Mrs. Tingle is about a teacher, Mrs. Tingle, who is a horror show. She's terrible to her students. She's terrible to everybody around her. Everybody hates her, and she is not above being conniving and threatening and blackmailing to get her way. Well, when perfect student aiming for valedictorian Leanne, played by Katie Holmes, gets into a mishap with her friends, and a stolen final exam shows up in her backpack.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mrs. Tingle is going to use it to tear her down. And they take her hostage in her own home, and they don't know what to do. That's basically the plot of this movie. The budget for this movie, Casey, can you guess the budget for this movie?
You know, if I were a betting man, Mick, I would put it in roughly about 10 mil.
That close. It was 14 million. It's 14
That's not
million.
terrible. That's a pretty sizable chunk. I think that most of that was just salaries, because
Probably.
Kevin Williamson was the entirety of the directing and writing staff, so we kind of didn't have to worry about paying too big there.
Which, by the way, this is his only directing credit to his name.
Only one.
He only got one shot. Even Dawson's Creek couldn't save him. So the box office. You want to guess the box office?
I'm gonna say this came in. Please tell me it came in at 10 million. There's no way it didn't make its money back.
It did not make its money back.
How bad?
It did not make 10 million. So on a budget of 14 million, it only made 8.9 back. It was a box office bomb.
Ouch.
So, of course, it starred 3 stars of the time on TV. Because I don't even think Helen Mirren's star was shining at that moment.
I mean, she was huge in England.
Well, no,
huge. Yeah. So here she was kind of on her way up. I'd say she was a known commodity. I mean, the thief, the cook in that movie.
That was like 10 years earlier, though.
Right. That was in the 80s, and that movie kind of transferred over. So she was known.
Oh, she was well known. I mean, she was in Caligula. She was in a lot of things that she's really well known for, and she was a known actor. And when they pulled her, she was probably the biggest name.
Yeah, agreed. Jeffrey Tambor was Arrested Development at the time.
No, this is like 5 or 6 years before that.
99. So, but I thought Arrested Development was around 2000, 2001.
2005. That started.
Oh, wow.
So really no. Vivica Fox was probably her star was
because she had
pretty
Independence
big.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah. And a few other things. Katie Holmes, of course, from Dawson's Creek. Barry Watson from Seventh Heaven.
Marissa
And
Coughlan was known. She was one of those side characters, the friend in a lot of movies at that point.
Yeah. I can't place where I know her from, but she is a recognizable face for sure. Yeah, she was in like everything. She always played like the girl next door friend. Freddie Got Fingered is where I really remember her because she played the paraplegic.
She was Ursula in Super Troopers. That's what it was.
That's what it was. She's Ursula in Super Troopers.
Yep.
That's
so
okay.
100%. Yeah.
So, so the box office, of course, wasn't made back. The reception for the movie reads as such.
It's bad.
And so critical response, the film received mostly negative reviews on Rotten Tomatoes as it has an approval rating of 19% based on 70 reviews with an average score of 3.92 out of 10. The critics' consensus reads as a dark comedy thriller. I don't know what the comedy was in this. This movie lacks...
It's funny when people get shot with arrows.
Yeah, with arrows. This movie lacks humor and thrill. On Metacritic, the film scored 35 out of 100 on 32 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Roger Ebert gave the film 1.5 stars and compared the film to Election in its concept. But Teaching Mrs. Tingle fell short of Election in wit. And in that, Teaching Mrs. Tingle had no sympathetic characters, although he complimented Mirren's acting. Common Sense Media gave it 1 star out of 5, calling it misguided teen thriller. There were some positive reviews for the film. Tom Bennett of Film Journal International praised the film, calling it an entertaining film full of Williamson's familiar movie reference-laced dialogue. What? Michael Lacuna of The Movie Reporter gave it a 3 out of 4 stars, calling the film an admittedly junky but wickedly watchable revenge fantasy. What?
I'm going to completely agree with that.
I'm going to move past that reception. The IMDb rating for this movie, of course, which is the one I tend to go with the most, is 5.3 out of 10, which is actually fairly high for a lot of movies.
That's generous. That's very generous, and that's out of 21,000 ratings. So I feel like there's a major nostalgia factor playing into that rating.
And I personally trust the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and out of 25,000 plus, it has 31%.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. That
feels about right.
Sell. So Casey, upon your rewatch of Teaching Miss Tingle, let's first off, when did you first see this movie?
So this was one that I saw in the theater on a date way back when I was a younger lad. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And it was cool. I don't know. It was Teaching Mrs. Tingle is what I expected. It was what I was already watching at the time. So it just fell in line with everything else that Kevin Williamson had done. And I wasn't wowed by it, but I didn't plan to be wowed by it. So it was fine. I enjoyed it.
Well, first of all, you were one of the rare few because supposedly it came out at number 10 its opening weekend.
Yeah.
Which I guess that, and I remember the trailer for this movie, and Katie Holmes in like all wet and from the rain or whatever.
And Barry Watson all wet by the
and Barry Watson, but and like she takes off her like overshirt or whatever, and like they were selling the sex of it.
Well, that's what it was. That's the whole point, was to just get this kid from Seventh Heaven, who was the perfect boy, and then get Joey from frickin' Dawson's Creek. Yeah, boom, there you go.
Now keep in mind,
and plus, and then you're going to kill your teachers' school kids' fantasies. They're going to love this.
Now keep in mind, all right, Barry Watson was in Seventh Heaven. He played the oldest brother, whatever. I don't know. I don't care. I remember that show. I remember it was really popular. He made no impression on anything he's ever done. Even in that show.
That's not completely unfair.
It is completely fair. He's made no impression as an actor on me because this is the first time I've ever seen Teaching Mrs. Tingle.
Yeah, and I'm sure you loved it. You were blown away by it. Because you never saw this. This movie never caught you in that wave of the rom-com teen craziness.
I was not one of the people who got it to number 10 at the box office.
I was absolutely one of those pump 'em up kids watching like Whatever It Takes. This fell right in line with all of that cheese that I loved. So yeah,
no, it never hit for me. But I watched Dawson's Creek. It was a show that I did watch.
One of the greatest shows on television of all time.
Sure. I mean, you're like it's almost like you forget Breaking Bad exists. Like Breaking Bad makes Dawson's Creek look like Rhoda. Okay?
I feel so uncomfortable comparing the two. It's hard to even as a fan. I'm like,
It's so like that's TV in my opinion. That is like Breaking Bad. Like there's a top 10 of TV shows. Breaking Bad being number 1, 100%. And then there's just after 10, there's just shows. They just exist.
Yeah, I mean that's what I put it in. It's my show. It's my stories. How about that?
Oh,
it's achieved the level of stories.
I can accept your personal top 10 having Dawson's Creek on it.
Yeah.
Without ridicule. I can accept that. Because I love Supernatural. I love Buffy. They're within the same realm. Smallville, so there are things that I love. But I put all of those shows in that void.
Yeah, I agree. That's where the void exists. Charmed for me. Absolutely lives in the void. It's a great spot where it's like, it's my comfort food. I can go back to it because I love it. Starship Troopers lives there. When people ask what are your favorites, you don't bring those up because they just exist as being.
And I wasn't a Joey guy from Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, that's valid. I get it.
I liked Katie Holmes. She was fine on the show, but everybody fell in love with Joey, and she just that wasn't my thing.
Right, I get it.
I was more of a Cordelia guy.
Yeah, no, I get that. Absolutely. I was Cordelia from Angel when she kind of grew up out of some of the
every step of the way. Every step of the way. Even when she was getting a complete and utter bitch to everybody, I was like, you know what? I'm in 1000%. And she was horrible to Xander, but he was the geek, and I identified with him, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to pull the top cheerleader one day. Why not?
You just believe, brother. You just can't believe it.
So watching this movie,
and then you got better. So hey,
this movie tonight, watching this because I graduated in 2000, so it's right around that time. You're a year behind me, so when this movie came out, you were a sophomore. Yeah, you were a sophomore. I was a junior. This movie for me was like I tripped and fell into a time capsule, and then I woke up and I missed all of those years. I missed all of them. They're all gone, and I am who I am now.
Right.
And I'm disgusted with myself
for liking these movies.
No, I did not like this movie. Let's get to our grades. Well, so what is your grade for this? Because we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but I want to hear your grade for this.
So this one, Teaching Mrs. Tingle for me, where it definitely did not live upon the highest stance I expected. And from what I remembered it being a better movie, and it is definitely not that. It is not a great movie. It's hard to push good. There were some good performances in it. It was entertaining, and for nostalgia factor, it definitely had a little tug at my heartstring. So for the nostalgia factor, it remains above a complete failing, and I give it a D-.
Yeah, see, you are very generous, sir. This movie
very generous.
This movie for me, and I'm going to ruin it for people. So, of course, we do grades here, A through F, just like school, which is ironic, and it's going to be very ironic for this movie, because they talk about irony a lot in this movie.
Unfortunately, yeah. They get so heavy into the wordage of the wordiness, and I'm like, this is Kevin Williamson. Williamson is stroking himself here, folks. That's all this is. No, someone has unleashed the writer and fucked up and gave him control, and he's just doing a bunch of shit that it's like, how is all this going to connect though? How are we supposed to feel this? And he didn't really get there. So yeah.
When I hear millennials complaining about Gen Z and how they talk, I want to punch them in the face, because I remember walking the halls of high school the day after Tuesday when Dawson's Creek was on. I remember what day it was, because Wednesday,
spaghetti night,
I'd be
spaghetti
walking
dinner,
and everybody's using the longest words possible. And it's like, that doesn't even mean what you think it means. Like, what are you talking about?
That's why I had a dictionary, so I would be able to be called out, because I wanted to be the nerd who could also call out. That was important.
I was so mad at people using, it's almost like Dawson's Creek is the word of the day toilet paper of TV.
Yeah, which also helps with your SATs.
I just thank God that Scream has it too, but Scream isn't as bad yet.
No, it's not. They've managed to hold off pretty well.
But I think Wes Craven grabbed Kevin Williamson and said, "Listen, kid, you can't make teenagers talk like this. It's not true." But then after Dawson's Creek, it was true, because everybody wanted to sound smarter.
Exactly.
Didn't. He made a generation of stupid talking people.
And we wore more, khaki pants and boat shoes.
Oh my God. I remember them. I had corduroy khaki pants.
Yep.
And they were the worst, but comfortable though.
That's been my midlife crisis, by the way, is now wearing khaki pants and corduroys that are khaki. Like, has become a thing again. I'm not sure what happened or how that happened, but they're cheap and I like the fit.
I think the thing that pisses me off the most about this movie is that you have these three students who do terrible, terrible things.
I mean, they're pretty awful.
Like
this escalates real quick, and they're not nice about any of it. Like, everyone's a dick.
Like, your only reason for hating Mrs. Tingle is that she is an asshole.
Yeah, like, this is a straight message to kids. Like, hey, if remember that asshole teacher, here's a fetishized sort of romance with beating the shit out of them and then tearing them down. Like, so the kids win. And it's like, let's everyone calm down. In the faculty, that works because they're aliens.
Yeah.
This one's a little different. This is a woman's life you've destroyed.
You've destroyed. Like, she didn't do anything wrong. You had the test in your backpack. She found it. Yeah. Yes, you tried to explain yourself. Yes, she's a bitch who didn't listen to you. But it doesn't matter. You go to the principal, you say, I wasn't doing anything. Your friends can go and say, no, she took it to try and stop us. Whatever it is, the logical side of things, not break into her home, take her hostage, and like assault her, then blackmail her.
And it's Barry Watson who's behind the bush, like, all right, let's sneak in. It's like, what are you doing?
Like, off
That's
the bat.
not a good idea. Yeah.
Right off the bat.
The gate.
He went from, I'm going to tell her it was me, to let's kill her. Like, like he even says it at one point.
What
He's
if
like,
we have to finish this? Yeah, should we finish this? Yeah. It's just like, no, we're not finishing this.
So, yeah, and I'm watching this movie. And so then by the end, it's happenstance that everything occurs the way it does. Like, they didn't set her up and have like the girl come. It just everything was happenstance. Which, honestly, if you did just call the police, like if she had just called the police and said, this is what happened. Yes, I fired a crossbow. I was just tied in my room for days by these teenagers and they were just fighting me. Look at me. I fell down the stairs. Like, you're going to get away with it. You're not get away with it, but you're going to, these teens are going to at least be charged with something.
Yeah, because she wasn't, and the kid was fine.
There's no explanation. She just gets fired. And then she gets fired. She's completely destroyed her life, her career, everything. And these kids just graduate and get everything they want.
Walk away with everything they want. It's pretty fucked up.
So we got your D-. So here's a bout of irony for you. I give it an F. I would give it an F- if it existed.
Ah, buddy.
I'm giving it the grade that Leanne deserves. That's what I'm giving it.
Her failure.
Yeah. This movie.
The only character I really gave a shit about was her mom. Leanne's mom. I was like,
Leanne Warren?
I feel you. I feel you, Leanne Warren. You are working hard. I understand.
Scarlet from Clue.
Yep.
I don't feel bad for anybody. I don't feel bad for anyone in this. You know what I feel bad for? I feel bad for the coach's wife. Literally the only one that had any sympathy from me in this.
Yeah.
The whole movie is just abysmal, and everybody, I give it an F. I don't think it's rewatchable. I don't think go check it out. I rented it, and I'm kind of mad that I did.
Yeah, no, I did the same thing. It was a terrible idea, and someone got my money that I'm not happy about. But hopefully, Molly Ringwald got something. So thanks, Molly. You're awesome.
Yeah, true. I mean, I would prefer her. You know, I wish she didn't latch on to this one for the star power to try and come back.
It didn't quite pull. So, Mick, answer the question: does Teaching Mrs. Tingle suck?
Oh yes, 1,000%. And we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight and watching this and listening with us, and let us know your thoughts on Teaching Mrs. Tingle. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, don't. Watch something else.
Give it a try. Like maybe if you like some of the movies around that time, like Varsity Blues, you could probably just rewatch Varsity Blues, or
just
American
rewatch
Pie,
Varsity.
You could just rewatch that. For Love of the Game came out at this time, one of Sam Raimi's greats.
In fact,
definitely watch that.
Give them a list of movies they should watch from that year that isn't this.
Lake Placid.
Yep.
Stir of Echoes.
Yep.
The Boondock Saints.
Yep.
The Bone Collector.
Yep.
Idle Hands.
Oh,
classic.
I love that movie. Yep.
Yeah, it's really good. The World Is Not Enough.
Yep.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Bicentennial Man. It's not great, but if you haven't seen it, it's fun for Robin Williams. Robin Williams being fantastic. Fight Club. Go watch Fight Club.
I'm not even a fan of that movie, but go watch that over that.
Over this Jawbreaker, Blast from the Past, for crying out loud. It's not a great movie. Watch that one.
I beg to differ. I love Blast from the Past.
You love that one. She's All That came out at this time.
It's a good one.
October Sky, Sleepy Hollow, The Green Mile, American Beauty, The Mummy. In fact, just go see The Mummy.
Just go see anything
other
that came
than
out in
this.
99.
Yeah, other than this, really.
Other than
You're pretty safe.
And do not give Kevin Williamson your money.
Ever.
Well, for other stuff, but not for this.
Well, Scream. Lots of Scream. We'll give them all the Scream.
Yeah, go for it. But we want to thank...
No more thrillers.
No more thrillers. No more comedic thrillers, as he calls it. But we want to thank our patrons for supporting us. They are amazing. We truly appreciate you helping us keep the lights on and supporting us. You do not know how far it goes, and we truly appreciate you. Tim, Paul, Stacy, Matt, Aaron, Chris S., Chris H.,
Dan, John B., Ron, Jason, AJ, Radar, John W. We appreciate you all, and thank you so much for what you do and what you give to us. We appreciate you, and we hope for giving you some great content.
And you guys, if you want to join up, because we have 3 tiers available, you can join up at patreon.com/thescenesnobs. And remember to join the Snobs Nation Discord. We have great conversations, watch parties, and more. If you like this video, hit like and hit subscribe, because we have great shows like the Scene Snobs Podcast, Real Combat, Plot Roast, Scene Snobs Review, Geek Fest Live. We have our new shows of This Does It Suck, and the Scene Snobs Morning Drive live show.
And remember to check out our merch store. We've got a spot where you can drape yourself in the coolest sayings that you'll hear from some cool cats here, your favorite snobs. That's me and the McMahon himself. So head on over there through our link tree and check it out. Get yourself some stuff.
Remember to follow us on all social media. Of course, I will get Casey's up there, but I'm going to start putting your stuff down below so everybody can click on it. So we'll be down there by the time you're watching this video.
Ooh, all clickable, yeah.
At the Scene Snobs, everywhere except for at the Scene Snob at TikTok, because they don't let me change it. But I want to thank you guys again for joining up with us, having a good old time. We appreciate you. Casey, take it away, my friend.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope this was a fun little bit for you, and you all had as much fun as we had doing it. So once again, as always, we appreciate you. Make sure to be kind to yourself, be kind to each other.
And take care.